I was tagged in this woman's post. It's just a picture of her with the caption saying, "Give me your best ways that you've decentered men." I'm not talking about journaling and focusing on yourself. I want the most insane, unhinged, borderline psycho things you've done. Now, if you want to look her up and you're on TikTok, her name is A Glass of Sweet D, A Glass of Sweet D. That is her name on TikTok. So she's asking this question, and this question got so many answers. We're going to use these comments as a barometer or as a brainstorming tool, and then you can jump in and leave your comments. So this is a man, Alabama fella. He says, anytime a man starts to say, "my bad," I respond with, "I knew I should have trusted a woman with this." This man, Alabama fella, he is a decent dude. I've actually interacted with him on social media. This one on the counterculture says, "I always put women first in all social and work situations, email, calls, teams, etc. But if I have to call in a favor, I always ask a man first." This user says, "I jump out from behind corners and scare my husband because I don't want a man feeling comfortable in my home." That is definitely unhinged, but I really appreciate Kale's right here. Kale says, "Instead of ladies and gentlemen or you guys, I say ladies and sons of ladies." That one got me. That one definitely made me chuckle. CB says, "I never ask my husband what's wrong. He can speak, and also, I do not care." Okay, so that one definitely made me laugh as well. She said that to her husband. Sonia says, "And also, I do not care is iconic and I'm inspired." This should inspire women to think of ways where we can edify women a lot more. And, sometimes these men need to hold their own nuts. They need to figure things out. But yeah, this part, and also, I do not care, that definitely got a chuckle out of me. Only Rue says, "When a man is slightly rude or has any type of attitude, I ask if he needs a minute to calm down or say we can revisit the conversation when he's less emotional." Because apparently, emotions are always simply in the realm of the female, not the male humans. So you have to tell him, simmer down, little one." Sometimes you have to gentle parent the men. Becca says, "I assume every professional someone is talking about is a woman, them. I spoke to the contractor about it. Me. Oh, what did she say?" Same with if someone refers to a doctor or lawyer, etc. I like that. Chelsea says, "I've been telling men in my comment section to calm down, little fella." Yes, you try to calm them down because sometimes they get emotional or hysterical. No, it's not. It's hysterical. No, testerical. My bad. I'm mixing up the words. Testerical and emotional. Those are the words. Kate says, "I'm one of two women in my office. I put a pink couch in my office so when a man comes in to talk, they have to sit on my pink couch while I sit behind my big desk." Miss Behavin says, "I don't keep seating in my office and I don't offer the men a seat, but I do tell them where they can locate a seat for their wife's comfort while her and I go over the details of the contract." Jade says, "Whenever a guy attempts to gaslight me by saying I'm too much, too candid, too bossy, too direct, etc., I go, please stop flirting. I'm a happily married woman." Okay, this one is hilarious. Dekina says, "I use the word flaccid in everyday convo. Your response to my question was flaccid. I expected more from you." Now, that is something that we can start implementing. Flaccid would be a great word. It was intellectual last week. We need to start saying flaccid more. Remind them of their lack of power. Flaccid. Flaccid is going to be the word of the week. Chloe says, "I never try to speak ill of a woman when in the company of men, no matter who it is." And then Maya is speaking facts. "Started praying to the Heavenly Mother instead of Father. None of us can truly decenter men without decentering the male God first. Please and thank you." This is how someone asked me yesterday when I was on live on YouTube how I grew in my feminism. And I do truly believe that once I started deconstructing from religion, which is the son, I mean, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, is all about male energy. Once you start to deconstruct from that, the leadership is always men, the deacons are always men, all men, men, men. Once you start to deconstruct, then it's a lot easier to come into your feminism and centering women and propping women and girls up. So, decentering men from a male god first. That's what has to happen. And that's one of the reasons why I do believe that religiosity is declining, because women are waking up to what the hell and why the hell are we doing this? Mary Golden says, I choose a woman for anything: tattoo artist, doctor, dentist, photographer, baker, artist, realtor, therapist, etc. Madison says, my boss was trying to compare us. Horrible man. I told him the only similarity we have is our height. I got fired, but he's still 5'3". Lily says, starting seeing them as second class and treating them as such, as they've always done us. And Elle says, I remind mine during my period that my testosterone is heightened. So when he says I'm acting like a bee, I say no, just acting like a man. So that was this post got a lot of comments. 16,411 comments, which is literally amazing. But in the search engine, it says the Bechdel test. And I didn't know what the Bechdel test was. So, of course, I go to the Google. So, what is the Bechdel test? It's a simple method to assess the representation of women in fiction, requiring a film to feature at least two named female characters who talk to each other about something other than a man. All right, it says origin. The test originated from a 1985 comic strip by Alison Bechdel. In her comic strip, Dykes to Watch Out For, where a character stated her criteria for watching a movie. Two named female characters, conversation. These two female characters must have a conversation with each other. Subject of the conversation, it can be anything other than a man. So let's start keeping that in mind. Anything other than a man, two women. See if you, as you're watching a movie, as you're watching a show, as you're reading a book, are there two women or two, it could be two girls having a conversation? They are main characters. They have a name and they're talking about something other than a man. Think about it. Let's brainstorm. Do we actually see this? Because so many movies are male centered, but they'll plop a woman in there as kind of like, an accessory or something, just like how they plop a black person in the movie. I don't know if there's an actual test for that, but they do just plop one in. So there's a little bit of diversity or something. All right, y'all. Go ahead and continue to brainstorm with this. Join the conversation, like, comment, and share. This woman in the 2X chromosome subreddit is pissed, and rightfully so. She says, bought a car and just received my title. My fiance's name is first, and he didn't even sign anything. It's my car. This is absolutely wrong, but this just goes to show how sexism and misogyny is just ingrained in the culture. They put the man first simply because he showed up with the peen, even though it's her money and her car. It's just second nature for these people to think that the peen haver's name needs to be first. And this is the reason why we need to continue to figure out ways on how we're going to deconstruct this so women can actually be on some kind of equal footing, because sexism is so pervasive that I don't even think that people think about it when they're doing these things. But anyways, here's her post. She says, he test drove it with me and gave them his license. I signed all the paperwork. He didn't sign a thing. We made it very clear and stated several times, this is my car. His name is first on the title. I don't even know what to say or do. I called the dealership and left a message stating I need an explanation, but the only explanation I'm coming to is misogyny. I feel so ridiculous for being upset over this, but I'm going to have to spend time and money to fix this for no reason at all. And she shouldn't have to fix this with her own time and energy. They should have to fix this themselves since they got it wrong. He didn't sign anything, so it shouldn't be on her and to spend her time, energy, or money to get any of this fixed. They need to fix this. And this is the reason why we need to be more assertive and continue to have these conversations. It should be as simple as, I need to speak to a manager. I need you to work this out. Obviously, that's just a short post, but it is a conversation starter because there are going to always be these microaggressions with sexism, just like there are microaggressions with racism. It's just something that is pervasive because our country is built upon sexism and racism. It's just part of the culture, just like apple pie is. All right, Quiet Lifter says, also had this happen, but fortunately caught it on the title application. I was picking the car up late on a Saturday evening, and the finance guy tried to convince me to let it go because it would be inconvenient for him to fix it. I told him he could choose to either be inconvenienced by correcting the paperwork or by having to explain to his manager why he lost the dealership the sale. The satisfaction I felt watching him slink away to correct the title was incredible. Toots New York City says, when my husband and I were buying the car, he was taking point, but I was going to be the one whose bank account and salary was allocated to paying the car. We had discussed alarms versus ignition cutoff and decided on ignition cutoff. We park on the New York City streets, sometimes blocks from our home, and New York at the time was plagued by car alarms going off interminably. We knew we wouldn't know our alarm going off, and we didn't want to torture all our neighbors. The insurance benefit from the ignition cutoff was the same as the alarm, so we chose that. The day we were to pick up the car and had made all these complicated arrangements for childcare, they called me at work and said they couldn't get a hold of my husband. The reason they were trying is because their technicians had been on autopilot and installed an alarm instead of the cutoff. They wanted to leave it and argued that was more expensive. It was a more expensive freebie. I told them we wanted to cut off. They said they were going to get a hold of him. I said, I will get a hold of him before you do, and I will insist that we get what it is we asked for. If it means we have to pick up a car in a different day, tell me that now, because I'm not going to live for years with an annoyance that I was trying to avoid. It was very frustrating for them to call me as if I had the right to make the decision, and then when I made the one they didn't like, they say, never mind, we'll ask the man. These people are annoying. We are not in the times where women can't make decisions for ourselves and make them stick. These people are going to have to get with the times of right now. Soylent Red says, not a dealership, but a repair shop. I was playing in an adult sports tourney shortly after getting married, and my partner came along for fun. We had some car trouble on the way there, so she was going to drive to a repair shop during the games. In my first game, my buddy blew out his shoulder and was sidelined. He was bored, so he offered to ride along. The repair shop literally refused to talk to her and kept directing questions at my friend, facing away from her, etc. He refused to engage, simply saying, I don't know, please ask her, since it's her car. Sadly, it was the only shop open in the small town that day. Eventually, the repair guy did talk to her, and they sorted it out. I'm sure we were overcharged. I recognize this is small compared to the other experiences on the thread. At the time, we all laughed and thought it was a bit weird and funny. In retrospect, not funny. I'm glad that men are seeing these microaggressions, and hopefully they can help change things, but they do have to see it, because when we speak on it, sometimes they could kind of blow women off when women speak on our experiences. Like, they don't believe it unless they see it for themselves. All right, so this person, J Cowchick, says, when my girlfriend had to buy a new car on short notice 25 years ago, generally I or a buddy of mine went with her to keep the sales folks honest. I did have to get rather short with one. Look, she's buying the car, not me. You need to make her happy. All of them tried to talk to me or my buddy before they talked to her. Because we're in a situation, we're in a world where men are more important. That's the reason why we need to keep talking about decentering them, so that they can bring them down some and that women can get on equal footing, because we should be. We're equal humans and we have our own money and can make our own decisions. Zil Haga says, it's so weird that they still do this, because I know it has cost dealerships potential sales from us. We've been Subaru loyalists for 15 years now, partially because the sales staff treat me like an equal participant when we go in. We ended up passing on an expensive electric car from a different company, not Tesla, for our last purchase just because we were on the fence between the cars and the sales guy was such a douche to me when we went in. Does this work for some people, or are women just putting up with it? It seems like alienating half of your customer base would be a losing sales strategy. Don't abide mendacity says you don't want an explanation, you want a correction. Don't put the onus of fixing the title on yourself. This is their screw up. As of now, your fiance owns half of your car as far as the government is concerned. My fire elf says, and when they try to drag their feet, ask them if they think fraudulently gave half my car to an unrelated person who signed nothing in an online review will affect their business at all. And then finally, Oddbit Twiddler says, this so needs to be done. It's so sad that it still needs to be done. Should have been a nationwide ad campaign in the late 60s to shame this behavior and make it stop forever. Why do we keep having to fight these battles? It's 2025, for God's sakes. Checks news. Never mind. I forgot. Make sure your boyfriend is on your bank account so you can still have one next month. If we get to the point where women can't have a bank account, and we start really rolling back, like literally we're at a point in history where we're regressing, and we're regressing quickly, and like literally not enough people are inflamed enough to try to stop this. I don't get it, but that's where we are right now. So like she says, never mind. Checks news. It's just where we are right now. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So here we have a content creator named AF Seroset. She says, I once had a man tell me he doesn't like tats on women, said they look promiscuous, all while talking to a woman with 2 sleeves. I didn't argue, didn't defend, just sat with a quiet insult wrapped in a compliment he thought was harmless. He wasn't joking. He wasn't trying to flirt. He was serious and somehow thought I wouldn't notice that he just indirectly shamed me to my face. The thing is, we all have preferences. There's nothing wrong with liking what you like, but the problem is when you're not into something while actively pursuing someone who has it. That's not a preference, that's projection. What's happening here is this. When a man tells you what he dislikes but continues to pursue you anyway, believe what he's actually saying and showing. He's confused. If you've been here before, it's destabilizing to be both desired and diminished, to feel like someone sees you, but only in pieces. This isn't about tats. It's about deeper ways that women get policed simply for existing in their fullness. The goalpost will always move if the game is built on someone else's comfort, not your truth. So what do? Don't argue with someone who's already made you a contradiction in their mind. You're not here to help someone unpack why they're attracted to what they were taught to shame. Take note of who compliments you by omission. If they only praise you in comparison to others or flatter you while low-key insulting who you are, that's not validation. You don't have to fit anyone's aesthetic to be worthy of love. The right people won't just like the way you look. They'll respect the way you chose it. Tattoos, curves, voice, skin, silence, softness, rage. You're not too much. You're just too full for someone who only knows how to sip. She continues with, and if someone says they don't like tats on women while staring at the ink that tells your story, you have your answer. They don't want you. And stop entertaining these men that come up to you and they say, I usually don't go for X, Y, and Z, but it looks good on you, or it fits you, or I'm not attracted to black girls, fat girls, girls with afros, whatever. If they are not usually attracted to you and they have the nerve to say it to you, it's because they want to bring you down a couple of notches and make you feel like, oh my God, he chose me. We're not doing this anymore. We're not accepting this anymore. If they usually don't choose whatever it is that is about you that they are simply attracted to now, say, just keep not choosing because I choose to walk away from you. Don't accept this. Don't even entertain this conversation anymore. We're tired of these people thinking that they can diminish or neg or whatever. We're done with this conversation. If you're wearing a full face of makeup, you like makeup, and then a man says, I usually like women with a bare face. Okay, sir, go find a woman with a bare face. Someone did send me a screenshot or a picture of a man saying he likes a woman without makeup, but he tends to go for women with makeup because the women without makeup are typically unattractive barefaced. So they would typically prefer a woman that's more high maintenance and bring them down a few notches because they can't, because they don't want the barefaced women in reality. What they really want is a woman that they deemed more pretty, but who is willing to put up with them, that is willing to lower their standards to be with them. I'm kicking myself because I didn't take a screenshot at the time. If you are the person that sent me that, please resend it to me because we need to have that discussion where these men will purposely go for these women and then just try to mold them. We've talked about men trying to mold women before, but this really does happen. They're like, I like that woman in these skimpy clothes, but I can't take her out. I'm going to get her and then I'm going to try to dress her in an extra modestly fashion. I'm going to try to change her into a church girl versus just getting a church girl. It's so wild to me. Let's do some of the comments. Luna Love for the Moon says, when a man says he doesn't like tattoos on women while talking to a woman covered in them, he's not sharing a preference. He's revealing a hierarchy, where your body is desired, but your choices are tolerated at best, never respected. Where you're attractive in spite of who you are, not because of it. That's not taste. That's conditioning dressed up as opinion. And instead of confronting it, he hands it to you and expects you to carry the shame for what he's too weak to unlearn. It isn't about the ink. It's about men who are taught to split women into two categories, the ones they respect and the ones they consume. Then they meet someone who shatters that binary and they don't know where to place you. So they flirt and insult you in the same breath, desire you and discredit you without blinking, praise your boldness while trying to contain it. They want the spark, but only if it flickers on their terms. I love the women on Threads. They be spitting. Graveheart Art says, maybe it's because I've been the fat girl, but never been polite and just sat there and took it. When men go, I really don't prefer fat women, I've always just calmly asked, then why are you here? Because I actually do want to know why they are here wasting both our time. I'm cool if you have a preference that I'm not, but it's so easy to just not bother me if I'm not your type too. I don't get that. Leave women alone that you're not attracted to. Candle Lakers, I don't know what this is, but Candle says, your comment reminded me of a guy I dated. He said he always likes blondes. I'm brunette. And I felt weird when I heard it and didn't realize why. Graveheart says, 9 times out of 10, they think they could fix you into what they want. But the only way to make me skinny like they want is very expensive lipo and a thyroid transplant. So I would just be honest about how much it would cost them to go about that. Most ran for the hills. Yeah, they want to willpower bully me into being a salad eating gym rat. I already am one to maintain my weight with my conditions, LOL. All right, Aurelia says, love this way of thinking. And Arm Me with Harmony says, he knew exactly what he was doing. It's called negging. Yes, and we've discussed negging before. Now I want to shift to this post from Menacing Squirrel. She says, stop helping these men raise their kids. Stop stepping into their broken homes trying to fix what he broke. They love to spin stories about the mother, make her the villain so you'll play the savior. Meanwhile, many of you are doing more for his children than he is, and he's still acting up. Be wise. Don't build where there's no foundation. Don't mother what he refuses to mature. Stop auditioning for their love through labor. Stop auditioning for their love through labor. Stop trying to be more than he is willing to be. Stop doing this. This is the reason why they never get to flex that muscle and become better parents, because some woman is always running in to fill in the gaps. She says, some of y'all call yourselves girls, but you're quick to believe the first lie a man tells you about another woman just to feel chosen. You ignore your intuition, abandon sisterhood, and side with the story designed to isolate her and manipulate you. Let's be real. If he's talking down on the last woman, he'll do the same to you when you're no longer useful. Being a girl's girl means being wise enough to not confuse manipulation with a love story. They stay on dating apps looking for a woman to step in and help raise kids they already failed, swearing, I love being a dad and my kids are my world while doing the bare minimum. They'll tell you all the right things to sound like a loving father, but put more effort into finding a new woman than they ever did into building a healthy home. They didn't love the mother, they didn't protect the home, and now they're out here selling a fantasy instead of doing the real work. Be careful, some of these men are just looking for help, not love. I really am appreciating Threads and how it's allowing women to share these types of stories and these types of lessons. We're going to continue to have these types of lessons because we need to get out of the need to feel validated by working hard and being of labor to men. We've got to stop, trying to get a small head pat from a man and some validation because he complimented me in a roundabout way. We're going to keep having these conversations so that we get our self-esteem from ourselves and not out of labor from men or opinions from men and compliments from men. We're not doing this. We're going to continue to have our self-esteem come from us instead of them. Join the conversations. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.